physical risk when they are deployed by our government to countries overseas. Did the Secretary of State have any idea?
Secretary of State issued the waivers for PEPFAR and for humanitarian, both food and medicine.
But people living in and working in places like Syria aren't able to access computer systems and security warnings that are there.
Every president that comes in does a review. I would argue, though, that since the Secretary has issued the waivers, it's incumbent upon his subordinates now to implement these waivers so that we don't see what could happen where people are not getting their vaccines, they're not getting the HIV treatment, they're starving people in destabilized countries. And then we see China and Russia. And quite frankly, Lindsey Graham and I did the Global Fragility Act to impact the Sahel in Africa. That is turning into a terror safe haven. You got Ebola popping up in Uganda.
Right.
These are serious issues that if we don't start implementing the waivers, you're going to see it get worse, not better. And I would urge the administration to do that.
You're striking a very different tone than Congressman Brian Mast, who was here last week, and he said there's a grift on the American people. He said PEPFAR and Americans shouldn't fund AIDS drugs for 20 million people across Africa because their governments might work with China.
It's the best.
There's a divide in your party about this right now.
Well, it's the best. I can only speak to the program that President Bush started, and it was to save millions of lives. That has probably been the best goodwill missions in the United States and put the best face, no pun intended, on the nation overseas with our adversaries, countering them with these people. We're saving their lives. The best global health program ever implemented by the United States was PEPFAR. I'd hate to see that go away. It will sunset once we achieve the mission. However, programs like that, when you look at the national security importance of USAID, need to be maintained. And I go back to why it was implemented in the first place.
On Friday night, the president ordered all foreign assistance to South Africa be halted and said we should prioritize the resettling of Afrikaner refugees. These are white South Africans. That means they will get priority over everyone, it seems, because there's a suspension of refugee entry into the United States, including those Afghan allies who worked alongside the United States. Are you going to try to help lift that?
Yeah, I believe, I did a comprehensive investigation at the debacle of Afghanistan that the Biden administration was responsible for, including leaving our Afghan partners behind.
Should they get a carve-out from the Trump ban on refugees?
And I do believe that it was an unintended consequence that needs to be fixed. Look, we promised them that we would protect them when they worked with our servicemen and women in Afghanistan. These are the interpreters, the ones who are right alongside our combat veterans. They have these special immigrant visas and P1, P2, and it's my view that they should be allowed to go forward with the SIV program. And they have been vetted, by the way, Margaret. They have been vetted. Unlike some of the other groups they talk about, these have been vetted. They worked with our troops to defeat the Taliban, which unfortunately Biden surrendered to. But it seems to me we ought to live up to our word. Otherwise, down the road in another conflict, no one's going to trust us.
Congressman McCall, thank you.
Thanks, Margaret.